Is sugar bad for you? Here's top 5 how it destroys you health. 1. Ticker trouble. Most people blame dietary fat for heart disease. And while certain industrial, inflammatory fats like trans fats do cause heart attacks, sugar is the real culprit. In fact, in 2016, researchers unearthed a huge sugar industry scandal, proving that the sugar lobby sponsored phony Harvard research in the 1960s. Turns out the sugar lobby paid Harvard researchers to take the heat off of sugar's health effects, instead turning the focus on naturally occurring fat's supposed role in heart disease. This faulty research concluded there was no doubt that the only dietary intervention required to prevent coronary heart disease was to eat less cholesterol and to eat polyunsaturated fat instead of saturated fat. We now know this is not true. In 2014, researchers were able to scientifically show that ingesting too much added sugar could significantly increase your risk of dying from cardiovascular disease. In fact, people getting 17 to 21% of calories from added sugar face a 38% higher risk of dying from cardiovascular disease compared to those who got just 8% of their calories from sugar. The relative risk was more than double for those who consume 21% or more of their calories from added sugar. Today, most U.S. adults consume about 22 teaspoons of added sugars a day. That's way more than what the American Heart Association recommends. AHA says no more than 6 teaspoons or 100 calories a day of sugar for most women. No more than 9 teaspoons or 150 calories a day for most men. 2. Fatty livers. Here's another reason to reduce sugar intake. Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease is on the rise in the US, and guess what's largely to blame? Sugar. High fructose corn syrup hiding out in drinks and processed foods has been called a weapon of mass destruction. Non-alcoholic fatty liver occurs when fat builds up in the liver. According to a study conducted at the University of Sydney at Western Hospital in Australia, NAFLD is present in 17% to 33% of Americans. This growing percentage parallels the frequency of obesity, insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes. And many Americans with the disease don't experience any symptoms. Tufts University researcher discovered people who drink 1 sugar-sweetened beverage a day face a higher risk of non-alcoholic fatty liver disease compared to those who steer clear of beverages containing added sugars. Interestingly, the microbiome is at play, too. You see, the microbiome serves as the interface between diet and the liver and modifies dietary effects. Scientists are actively investigating our gut's role in non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. What is clear? Drastically backing down on added sugar intake does seem to improve this disease to some extent. 3. Leaky gut and other metabolic diseases. Is sugar bad, particularly when it comes to the gut? You bet. Knowing that the microorganisms that live in gut actually act similarly to a metabolic organ, researchers now believe sugar changes the gut microbiota in a way that increases intestinal permeability, aka leaky gut symptoms. Eliminated excess added sugar is a key part of any effective leaky gut treatment plan. Added sugar feeds yeast and bad bacteria that can damage the intestinal wall, creating a leaky gut. This means the chronic, low-grade inflammation that sugar triggers can lead to the transfer of substances from the gut into the bloodstream. This can trigger obesity and other chronic, metabolic diseases. On a similar note, a December 2014 study found sugar-sweetened soda drinks may influence the development of metabolic diseases, as researchers found soda drinkers had shorter telomeres, a sign of decreased longevity and accelerated cell aging. 4. A diabetes-prone body. A 2013 study published in the journal PLOS One found for every 150 calories of sugar a person consumes a day, they increase their risk of type 2 diabetes by 1.1%. This increased risk held true even considering researchers adjusted for the other types of foods people eat. Researchers also found the impact of sugar on diabetes held true regardless of a sedentary lifestyle and alcohol use. 5. A number of cancers. Does sugar impact cancer risk? When the National Institutes of Health set out to investigate sugar's link to 24 different cancers, they didn't find tons of published research, noting more is needed. But they were able to find some associations between different types of sugar and certain cancers. For instance, added sugars increase the risk of esophageal cancer, while added fructose appeared to increase the risk of cancer in the small intestine. Other research hints at a connection between high intake of added sugars and colon cancer. This higher risk remained even after adjusting for other colon cancer risk factors like being overweight or obese or having diabetes. Dietary sugar could also increase the risk of breast cancer tumors and metastasis to the lungs. The University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center published a 2016 study finding high amounts of dietary sugar in the typical Western diet seem to affect an enzymatic signaling pathway known as 12-lipoxygenase in a way that increases breast cancer risk. The researchers pinpointed fructose, a component of table sugar and high fructose corn syrup, as the responsible sugar facilitating lung metastasis in the breast tumor studies. Previous epidemiological studies have shown that dietary sugar intake has an impact on breast cancer development, with inflammation thought to play a role. In the animal study, 30% of mice on the starch control diet exhibited tumors. The sucrose-enriched diets, 50 to 58% had mammary tumors. The breast cancer was more likely to spread to the lungs in mice fed the sucrose or fructose-enriched diet compared to the starch control diet.
Thank for your watching.
Press like, share and subscribe to channels.